you a little bit of information about making the right choice for a solar panel, or what we call solar module. There are lots of options out there, folks. Lots of manufacturers. Most of them have just recently got in the game, meaning like the last 10 years. They all have different advantages, disadvantages, but for the most part, a consumer can get overwhelmed with it. Most of the time, they're going to rely on their installer to recommend a module for them. And if they're a reputable installer, NABCEP certified, all that good stuff, they're going to hopefully hook you up with the module that best suits your particular needs, whether that's performance related, budgetary, brand recognition, origin of manufacturing is important to you. There's always considerations there. So a little bit about solar panels without going into crazy science, which if you want to get into that, you can check out our resources page on our website under the module and cell section and learn about that. But essentially, the cell that the group of cells that are in a module convert the photon from the sun into an electron. Actually, it knocks an electron loose that is on that on those dope compounds that are in that cell. Anyways, it creates a DC charge, and as covered in my inverter section, we don't use DC in our homes and businesses. We use AC. So we have to have a mechanism in place to convert that DC into AC, which is an inverter, which you can learn about that in the inverter section of the videos and the resources center. So there are a couple different types. There's a polycrystalline and a monocrystalline panel. For the most part, monos, the cells are they're basically cut square, so the cells butt up against each other, create essentially a nice grid pattern, and they have a blue look to them. Most of them have a light, not a light blue, but a blue or a dark blue look to them. Of course, it depends on what kind of light that you're looking at them in, but those have been the workhorse for many, many years. They're still widely used and widely available. They're not as efficient as a monocrystalline panel, but they're also usually a few pennies per watt less than a mono. It just depends on what your project is, your budget, and perhaps maybe your type of technology that you're going to be using, whether it's a string inverter or microinverters or whatever. There's all different solutions there for all that. So mono is going to have some what we call chamfered edges. The edges on them are cut off at a 45-degree angle, so you see a little bit more of the back sheet on those, and they have more of a black look to them. So they're a little more efficient and usually have a little more power. But again, it just depends on what look you're going after and budgetary reasons and all that good stuff, right? So they're also available in different frame finishes. Some what we call is just silver, which is just an anodized aluminum finish, or you can get them in black. There's some manufacturers that can do custom colors if you want to go down that road. And then the back sheets are largely white. You can get black back sheets. So if you get that with a monocrystalline with a black frame, it's going to be 100% black looking. So it just depends on what look that you're after. All black modules and black back sheets I think is a good idea for northern climates because it definitely helps generate more heat and melts that snow and ice off during the winter months. Not sure if it's really a good selection for maybe in the desert, but that's something that your installer could advise you on for your geographical area. There are some manufacturers that can make some custom colors for back sheet as well. There's an upcharge for that, obviously. Don't know how important that is, but for the most part, white or black back sheets are what you're normally going to see and expect. There's also a couple different sizes available. So the standard sizes are 60 cell modules, but you're typically going to be 39 to 40 inches wide by 64 to 65 inches tall, and they all going to range from frame thicknesses from 30 millimeter all the way up to 45 millimeter. Just depends on the manufacturer and the make, I guess, or the model of the particular one, because there's some manufacturers that make the same panel, but some are available on 35 millimeter and some are available on 40. And you have to look at those depending on your climate. So if you're under heavy snow loads, you're going to want a thicker frame, so it's going to be a lot more beefier and sturdy. If you're down in Southwest or down in the South where you don't have a lot of snow, you can probably get away with a 35 millimeter, no problem. And then also depending on the spacing of the racking, may also dictate your selection on the frame thickness. And then there's the other size, which is most common, is a 72 cell. And a 72 cell is usually about the same width. It's a 39, 40 inches, somewhere right around there, but it's going to be right around 74 to 75 inches taller. So they all have different power classes. Right now, you can get like an LG 60 cell putting out about 365 watts. Then there's 72 cells out there that also put out about the same amount of power. But some 72 cells are available in up to 400 watts. But if you're looking at, for example, power density, a higher output 60 cell is going to give you a higher power density on the roof than a 72 cell. So for example, you get a 350 watt 72 cell module that's going to occupy about 21 square feet on your roof. And you get a 60 cell 350 watt module that's only occupying about 18 square feet on your roof. So you can see you got the same amount of power, but that 72 cell is taking up more space. So if you got a roof that doesn't have much space available and you're trying to get as much on there as possible, a 60 cell might be your best option. They do cost a little bit more than a 72, but again, talk to your professional and they can find what module is best suited for you as well. There are some 96 cell units available out there as well. Those are quite a bit larger and heavier. There's some pros and cons of those, but for the most part, they're definitely available. We actually installed quite a bit of Panasonic, and Panasonic is actually a 96 cell, but it's in a 60 cell frame. So in other words, Panasonic manufactures their cells. They're smaller in physical size. It's a specific technology that they use, which is called the HIT technology, and so it's still in a 60 cell frame. So it's still going to be that 40 by 65 inches in that range right there, about 18 square feet. But there's 96 cells in there, so it's kind of cool. But we predominantly install 60 cell modules. One person can easily handle those. They're usually under 35 pounds for a module, maybe a little bit more if it's an integrated AC PV module, which I will talk about next. And 72 cells are going to be a little more heavier, more surface area. It's more likely to have two people handle those, just for safety reasons and for weight reasons. So there's pros and cons of both. It just depends on what you want to do. In most commercial and utility scale projects, 72 cell is by far going to be the most popular. But you just have to weigh the advantages of both of them. 72 cells tend to be a little bit cheaper, especially right now as of July of 2018, than 60 cells. Kind of depends on the market. Kind of depends on what's going on with everything in the world, as far as demand and production. Manufacturers have the ability to produce both, so sometimes they have different volumes depending on the demand and what they have in inventory and that type of deal. So just check around with those. For the most part, you just need to pick a module that what we would recommend is what is going to make sense for you from a performance standpoint, and availability is also a big factor. I mean, you might want a particular module, but sometimes it's not available. Whether it's A being discontinued, or they're behind on production, they're sold out, whatever the case is, sometimes that plays a part. So if your module is going to be 6 months out, but you want your installation in right away, you may have to pick a different make and model to be able to accommodate your timeline. So the first thing that we look at for a customer is we determine for them, we make sure that they understand that they get what they pay for, and that there is a huge difference in modules when you look at it, just like there is a huge difference in cars, and I'm a car enthusiast. In fact, I'm just coming back from picking up another AMG, so I'm definitely driven to high quality, high performance. I'm paying the money. I want to get every bit of horsepower out of it, and have that comfort, that luxury, and that reliability. So same with our PV modules. We align ourselves with only top manufacturers like Panasonic and LG. And the reason why we do that is because, first of all, for example, with Panasonic, they've been producing panels for over 37 years. They're the second largest, or the second longest producer of modules behind Sharp, right? So it's one of them deals where they've been doing it for a long time. They literally have tens of thousands of patents on technologies. They've been doing it the longest. They know what they're doing. They invest crazy amounts of money into R&D. LG and Panasonic, they invest just crazy money in R&D in solar. There's some companies that are not even making that in gross revenue every year, what they spend on R&D. So these companies are heavily invested. They are dedicated to the industry, and they are not going away. These are brands that you already recognize, even though you're not in the solar business. If I said something like to you, I'm going to offer you Mission Solar or ET Solar or whatever, right? You're going to look at me and say, I don't even know these brands. Solar World, I've never even heard of them. But you've heard of LG and Panasonic and Samsung. So these are brands that they're very well recognized, multi-diverse companies. They don't got all their eggs in one basket, just building modules. That's the biggest attraction for us, is that we know that company is going to be around for decades to come. They're not going anywhere. They make a lot of money, and they're multi-diverse. They're doing other things besides just making modules. So that's pretty important for us. So we explain these to the customers. You have premium tier 1 modules, you have tier 1 modules, then we have a category that we call sub tier 1, and then you have tier 2 modules. So you get what you pay for, and the performance is related to that, and then also the warranties. So with like Panasonic, everything in the system, everything is covered for 25 years. The module, the performance warranty is 25 years, the workmanship is 25 years. They pay for the truck roll fees, labor, shipping, everything. So from a manufacturer defect in the first 25 years, there's going to be no expense coming from the owner. Versus others have like a 12-year or 10 or 12-year workmanship warranty, and then a 25-year limited or linear power output warranty, and you get what you pay for. So customers just need to come to grips with the options and the costs associated with that, and brand recognition, and make a choice from there. So once we get some feedback from the customer as to what direction that he wants to go in, we can recommend a panel, and then we can kind of align ourselves with the technology to convert that energy that's best suited for it. So for example, if we pick Panasonic, that is a high voltage input, so we would need to do like a solar edge setup, or we can use some microinverters, but there's only a select number of microinverters on the market that can handle a high DC input. And of course, string inverters are available too. So we would just have to look at what's best suited for the condition, roof mount, ground mount, orientation, shading. Everything affects what module that we want to end up selecting for a customer, and go from there. And then everything else is driven off of that, the racking design, and the inverters and the layouts and everything else like that. So the modules is a key component. It is the the heart of the system. That's what keeps the body moving. And I would say the inverters are the brains. I mean, they're the ones that are There's literally over 100 options out there, and we just don't have any interest in that. We know what we offer is the very best, has a great track record, and we align ourselves with only good top brands, and that's been producing modules for a fair amount of time. So that's what we do. So if you need any help, you can always reach out to us. We can help advise you as to what's going to be a good path for you, and what module is going to be best, and go from there. Or you can do your independent researches as well on the internet. Obviously, Google is a very powerful tool to be able to do that. But just keep in mind what the source is coming from, and make sure that it's not skewed. We have a tendency to stay away from the manufacturer's websites in terms of claims, just because obviously it's going to be a little bit biased to a certain extent, but not overly biased. But we just like to hear from other installers, consumers, people from the real world that are actually handling this and dealing with it on a daily basis, and knowing what their results are. So if you need any help, just give us a holler. Our website is www.ecgllp.com. You can also go to our resources page and learn lots more information on modules and cell technology, and all the different other kinds of technologies like Morpheus and thin films and all that good stuff, and see which one is a good fit